Imagine a world where Rome, the greatest superpower the ancient world had ever seen, almost fell. Not to an army, not to a king, but to a slave, Spartacus. A name whispered with fear in Roman streets, yet spoken with hope by the oppressed. His march through ancient Italy wasn't a rebellion, it was a strategic masterpiece. A desperate journey fueled by freedom, survival, and brilliance that Rome never expected. And history rarely admits this. Rome came terrifyingly close to collapse. Today, we unravel how Spartacus, a gladiator forced into chains, brought the eternal city to the brink of destruction. It all begins in 73 BC. A group of gladiators, armed with kitchen knives and burning fury, spill out of a gladiator school in Capua, leading them a Thracian warrior named Spartacus. They flee to Mount Vesuvius and Rome laughs. To them, this is just a slave escape, a nuisance. But Rome has underestimated thousands of trained fighters, men with nothing to lose, men who fight like legends. Roman forces, confident and careless, surround the rebels. They think it's over. But Spartacus does the unthinkable. He braids vines into ropes, lowers his army down the cliffs, and attacks from behind. The Romans are slaughtered. This victory spreads like wildfire. Slaves flee farms. Shepherds join the cause. Soon, Spartacus commands tens of thousands. He becomes a symbol not of rebellion, but of hope. But here's the twist. Spartacus never wanted to destroy Rome. His plan was simple. March north, cross the Alps, lead his people to freedom. At this moment, they could have escaped. But Rome, sensing the real danger, scrambles. Consuls send ill-prepared legions to block his path. And each time, Spartacus crushes them. The unimaginable happens. Rome's armies fear a man they once considered property. They realize this is more than an uprising. It's a war. With every victory, the rebel army swells. They gather weapons, armor, and supplies from the fallen Romans. Spartacus isn't just a fighter. He's a brilliant organizer, turning a mob of desperate fugitives into a disciplined fighting force. They learn to march, to scout, to coordinate attacks. They are no longer just running, they are winning. But this success creates a problem. Some of his followers, emboldened by their victories, want to turn back and plunder Italy. They don't want to escape, they want revenge. This division in his own ranks will prove to be a fatal weakness. As the rebellion rages, Rome panics. The Senate makes a decision that changes everything. They call Marcus Licinius Crassus the richest man in the Republic. Crassus is not a hero. He is ruthless, ambitious, and hungry for military glory. He raises new legions with his own immense fortune and revives the ancient punishment of decimation. If a unit flees a battle, 1 in every 10 men is executed by his own comrades. Fear becomes his weapon. Now, the hunt for Spartacus is personal. The Roman legions, once terrified of the rebels, are now more terrified of their own general. The game has changed. Spartacus marches south, not for conquest, but because Crassus now blocks the path north. His dream of crossing the Alps and finding freedom is shattered. He needs a miracle. He finds one, or so he thinks. He strikes a deal with pirates on the coast of Sicily, who promise to transport his army across the sea. Escape, a new beginning, a chance to rebuild. But at the last moment, they betray him. Spartacus stands on the shore and watches as the pirate ships, his only hope, vanish into the distance. His army exhausted, starving, desperate, trapped in the tow of Italy. The dream of freedom is slipping away. Crassus, smelling victory, builds a massive trench and wall, stretching over 30 miles across the Italian peninsula, blocking Spartacus's escape by land. It's an incredible feat of engineering, designed to starve the rebels into submission. But Spartacus is not done. On a stormy winter night, he launches a surprise attack. He orders his men to fill a section of the trench with earth, wood, and even the bodies of fallen fighters and animals. They break through the wall with terrifying ferocity, punching a hole in Crassus's prison. Rome realizes something chilling. This is no ordinary rebel. This is a commander who simply refuses to lose. Against all odds, Spartacus regroups. He marches north again, and this time, he turns toward Rome itself. Why? Historians still debate this decision. Was he seeking supplies? Was it a desperate political statement, hoping to force the Senate to negotiate? Or was he finally planning to attack the heart of the empire? Whatever his intent, one fact is undeniable. For the first time, Spartacus's army comes within striking distance of the city walls. Panic grips Rome. Senators pack their valuables. Citizens flee into the countryside. The city prepares for the worst. Imagine the terror. An army of former slaves, victorious in battle after battle, now standing before the undefended gates of Rome. The city's main armies are still far away. This is the moment. This is the precipice. But Spartacus assesses the situation. He looks at the massive walls. He looks at the sheer size of the city. He looks at his own men, exhausted, wounded, and starving after years of fighting. He makes a choice. He will not attack. This single decision saves Rome from a sack it may never have recovered from. But turning away from Rome is a fatal mistake. It gives his enemies the time they need. Crassus closes in from the south. And worse, Pompey the Great, another of Rome's celebrated generals, returns from Spain with fresh, battle-hardened legions, landing in the north to cut off any escape. The noose tightens. Spartacus is caught between two powerful Roman armies. There is nowhere left to run. In 71 BC, surrounded and outnumbered near the Silarus River, Spartacus gathers his fighters for one last, glorious stand. Legend says he killed his own horse before the battle, declaring, "If I am victorious, I shall have many better horses. If I am defeated, I shall have no need of this one." This is not a battle for victory. This is a final, defiant roar for freedom. They fight with the fury of men who have already tasted defeat and refuse to accept it quietly. Spartacus charges straight for Crassus himself, cutting down centurion after centurion in a desperate attempt to kill the Roman commander. But in the chaos of battle, Spartacus falls. His body is never found. Some say he died a warrior's death, lost among the thousands of slain. Others whisper that he escaped, disappearing into legend. To crush the spirit of the rebellion forever, Crassus crucifies 6,000 survivors along the Appian Way, the main road leading from Capua to Rome. For miles, the road becomes a horrifying highway of death. It is a brutal and unmistakable warning to every slave in the Republic. This is what happens when you dream of freedom. But dreams, as history so often teaches us, cannot be killed so easily. 2,000 years later, Spartacus remains an immortal symbol of resistance, of rebellion against injustice, of the unbreakable human need to be free. Rome survived, yes. It went on to become an even greater empire. But Spartacus, the slave who rose from the dust of the arena to bring that empire to its very knees, became a legend. Empires rise and empires fall, but the fight for freedom that never ends. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to follow for more stories that history almost forgot.